Not a single scout wanted him. He was ignored by every major college program in the country. And after being kicked out of his house at just 13 years old, he spent most of his teenage years homeless. The basketball career of Jimmy Butler was supposed to fail before it even began. But what if I told you that this same kid went from sleeping on strangers' couches to dropping 56 points in a single playoff game, locking up LeBron James and dragging the Miami Heat to the NBA Finals twice. Despite being overlooked his entire life, even being drafted dead last in the first round of the 2011 draft and starting his NBA career glued to the bench, Jimmy Butler somehow became one of the league's best players. So, how did he overcome all of this? Why was a player this talented ignored for so long? And why did he once show up to training camp dressed as an emo? To find out, we have to go back to Butler's childhood in Tomball, Texas. Jimmy Butler, at just 13 years old, was faced with a serious dilemma.
My mom kicked me out of my house.
An issue which saw the young man become homeless, moving from couch to couch without anyone to truly take care of him. But after meeting Jordan Leslie on a basketball court when he was 16, everything began to change for Jimmy.
I mean, I was always like, man, you can stay tonight. My mom won't care. And then I'd just be like, just one more night. And it just kind of developed into a week and then a month.
Jordan's mother, Michelle Lambert, fell in love with this goofy, 5'10" basketball-loving young man, choosing to bring Butler into her home as her own son.
Finally found a stable home that a loving mother named Michelle came and took me in as one of her own.
Now, finally safe from life on the streets, the Tomball local began to grow and grow. As he entered his senior season at Tomball High School, Jimmy measured in at an incredible 6'6". Combine this sudden leap in height with the incredible effort Butler put forth on the court, and the former homeless teenager was a Division I star in the making. Only not a single college kid or believed in Butler's talents. Except one, Tyler Junior College. Therefore, having been gifted 2 more seasons of basketball and fueled to prove D1 coaches that he was in fact deserving of a scholarship,
It was frustrating that I wasn't playing Division I basketball.
Jimmy got to work.
A lot of kids would shy away from the controversy or shy away from the coaching, and he just craved it.
And as their first game rolled around, Butler was about to shock everyone.
I come out the first game and I scored 33. I was like, damn, I scored 33 in, college, JUCO, but college. I was like, man, maybe it's not a fluke. I come out the next game, I was like, man, all right, let's see if last game was a fluke.
Right.
37. And I was like, oh, maybe I can hold my own.
But it was ultimately his teammate, Joe Fultz, who changed Jimmy's life.
When I went to JUCO, I played with this guy named Joe Fultz, who had already committed to Marquette.
Because as D1 coaches poured into the Tyler College gym, their eyes began to be drawn away from Joe.
Buzz came in. He was an assistant at Marquette under Crean at the time. And I was always around Joe, so he always would speak to me, be nice to me, yada, 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 yada. He comes up to me and was like, you know what, if I ever had a head coaching job, you would be a player that I would want to you to come play for me. I'm like, man, get out of here, man.
While Jimmy didn't really believe Williams' words, as his first junior college season was rounding out, he received a random phone call at 2 a.m. Buzz Williams was now Marquette's head coach, and his first scholarship was going straight to you, but only if you subscribe. Well, I mean, really, it went to Jimmy Butler, but still, if you enjoy the content, remember, subscribe. Yet, could a player who lacked true skill,
The very first thing he said to me was, Jimmy, you suck.
and had only made a D1 roster due to his potential, really succeed at the next level? Upon arrival onto Marquette's cold campus, Buzz Williams was relentless, yelling, screaming, and cussing out his new sophomore.
He kept it real with me. He did. He said, hey, when you get the ball, throw it to one of the good players. Throw it. Dominic James, Wesley Matthews, Azar Hayward, Jerome McNeil.
To the point that Jimmy wanted to leave.
I was always like, I want to come home. I want to transfer. Because he was so hard on me.
However, thanks to the guidance from one particular senior on his team, Jimmy remained focused on what he was trying to achieve.
Well, the relationship that me and Wes have, it's off the court and on the court. But when it's on the court, it's strictly business, and he's teaching me the things that I need to know help the team. And that could be a little thing as much as how to get around the screen, and as big as, shooting or dribbling, stuff like that. When I'm not really all the way there, he's always on me, and he's always trying to get me going.
As Marquette's 2008-2009 season concluded and Matthews' departure for the NBA draft, he left his mentee with a vital message.
Wesley Matthews came back. I was like, yo, you can play in the league. I was like, word. And that's when I really started to take basketball for real, for real.
And it was during Jimmy's junior season where everything truly changed for Butler.
My role changed. My junior year, when all of those guys left, I got the ability to be able to just, shoot a couple bad shots, attack at any point in time. That's what it was.
You put the work in time.
And he put confidence in me to add to the confidence that I already had.
However, on March 18th, 2010, the NBA hopeful forward would receive a shocking wake-up call. March Madness, Round 1, tie game.
30 seconds left.
Marquette, despite holding the higher seed, had allowed their rivals a final opportunity to move on to the round of 32. But not if Jimmy Butler could have anything to say about it.
Quincy Pondexter, I watched game. Drove right by my sorry ass game. And I was like, man,
QP.
Man, I was like, that is not happening again.
Fueled by this failure and motivated to never return to his teenage life,
I'm not going back to Tomball.
Butler got to work during his final collegiate season.
I have to be that leader. I have to be that guy. I have to take, they lost that game. It's all on him. It's all on Jimmy Butler. They win that game. I don't want to be that guy to be like, yeah, I'm the one that won us the game, because it wasn't me at all. It was us. It was all of us. And I just want to be the guy that the teammates look up to him and say, even though this is his last year, he's given everything he has for every single possession.
He focused in on locking up whoever the opposing team's best player was.
I guarded Marshawn Brooks in college. Cardiac Kemba guarded him in college. That's when, I started to take defense a lot more seriously.
Pride combined with an aspect not often talked about with Butler.
Been such a great trait for him is his intelligence. He completely understands what we were trying to do on both ends of the floor. He's able to think the next play, he's able to think the next pass, and react accordingly, whether he's on offense or defense.
That saw the Tomball native lead his Marquette side to the Sweet 16 and forced NBA scouts to finally pay attention to him.
The NBA scout said that I play really hard. They say I compete every possession and that I guard, which is what I got to take pride in more than anything is defense, because I think defense is the only chance that I really have. Not backing down from any challenge.
But despite all of this, as David Stern was reading out each team's selection during the 2011 NBA draft, Butler only continued to be overlooked. Team after team that he had interviewed for and worked out for simply refused to choose the hungry 22-year-old. And as the first round was concluding, Jimmy lost hope until...
With the 30th pick in the 2011 draft, the Chicago Bulls select Jimmy Butler from Marquette University.
However, the situation Butler arrived into in Illinois wasn't exactly ideal for his development.
Because whenever I got to Chicago, and you're talking MVP Rose, Joe Kim in his prime, Lou Al in his prime.
With Chicago fresh off an Eastern Conference Finals berth, the Bulls had little playing time for an unskilled rookie. Yet, while head coach Tom Thibodeau had no interest in playing his 30th choice, their starting forward, Luol Deng, began to mentor their rookie.
I really took to Luol Deng,
preparing Jimmy for the inevitable night that his number would get called. March 12th, 2012. With Deng out of the lineup due to injury, Tom Thibodeau scanned down his bench, and knowing how dangerous Knicks star Carmelo Anthony was on the offensive side of the floor, threw his defensive-minded rookie into the deep end.
Guard Carmelo Anthony in Madison Square Garden, and he literally bruised my sternum from the hard post-ups that he was getting on every single play, and I had to sit there and just take that beating every time down the floor.
An incredible defensive effort.
Lou didn't play against the Knicks, and he got to guard Melo, and he did
he did such a good job in that game.
That saw Butler earn further respect from everyone within the organization. But with Luol's eventual return and the Bulls' championship run starting against the Philadelphia 76ers, Jimmy was relegated back to the bench until...
Rose came down bad on his left foot. See him holding onto his knee and down.
I knew that. I told him right away. Nerves started to shaking your leg and you can't control the nerves. Like something really happened. Tried to walk, couldn't walk.
Not only had Chicago just lost their MVP point guard, but they would also be eliminated by the 8th-seeded Sixers. Yet this tragedy created an opening for Jimmy. As throughout Rose's recovery during the 2012-2013 season, Butler's averages across the board rose steadily, pun intended. Yeah. The now sophomore would even receive 17 starts and be a part of the team who incredibly halted the LeBron James-led Miami Heat's win streak
throws it up to Butler, and he throws it down!
From breaking the Los Angeles Lakers' 33 games in a row record. But if Chicago was to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, they faced a serious roadblock. That same team whose dreams had been crushed by the Bulls. To make matters worse for Chicago, they were said to be without Luol Deng after the franchise literally nearly killed him before the series began. By the way, this is a fully true story. Deng literally almost died. Look into it. But not right now. Watch the video. However, once again, this gave Butler an opening. In standard Thibodeau fashion, his new star player didn't get to rest a single minute as he put forward his best defensive effort to try and slow LeBron James down.
James is blocked from behind.
Whilst also contributing vital buckets with his slowly improving offensive skill set. However, if they were to leave this battle victorious, Chicago needed some massive defensive stops down the stretch.
40 seconds to play. The Heat in possession, down by 4. LeBron putting moves on Butler. James way off.
Going for a 3 here, Mark, because you don't have any timeouts left.
Oh, a bad pass. James had to chase it, and he fires a deep 3.
Jimmy Butler's incredible defense had miraculously seen his bruised and battered franchise take a 1-0 series lead. Yet, of course, LeBron James and his Miami franchise would eventually gentlemen sweep the shorthanded Bulls, en route to winning their 2nd title in a row. But despite this loss, 2 things have been made clear. Firstly, the Bulls' sophomore forward's future in the NBA was incredibly bright. But if he was to achieve this vision, Jimmy needed some serious work on his offensive skill set.
But my offense was always just behind my defense because I locked in on a defensive end. So,
as usual, Butler just got to work, raising his performances to highs not even the franchise who chose him expected throughout the 2013-2014 season. With Jimmy firmly taking hold of the Bulls' starting small forward role thanks to a 13.1 point average, Chicago was eager to extend their new Rising Stars rookie contract, an offer that Jimmy denied, but why turn down $40 million? Simple. Jimmy knew, despite being overlooked for so long, his true potential, showing Chicago over the 2014-2015 season that he was going to be a max contract athlete very shortly by going out and averaging just over 20 points, being named for the first time as an All-Star, and being crowned as the league's most improved player. However, a huge battle lay ahead. Because thanks to Butler's sudden rise in performance during their first-round playoff series against the Milwaukee Bucks, where the Bulls saw Jimmy drop 33 points in Game 4 and lead them to a 4-2 series victory, Chicago was once again set to face LeBron James. Except this time, there were some key differences. Those being, LeBron was now on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and after the recovered Derrick Rose did this in Game 3,
Looking. Finds Rose. Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's
over! The Bulls win at the buzzer!
And then Butler doing this in Game 4.
Butler steps back, puts up a three. It's good! Jimmy Butler from downtown!
Which Rose followed up with this.
They do not have timeouts remaining. Rose on the crossover, drives, layup, it's good!
An unimaginable 3-1 series lead was just seconds away. To make things even better, stupidly, Cavaliers head coach David Vlad demanded a timeout, except he had none. So he got hit with a technical. No, wait, he didn't. Wait, what? I mean, of course he didn't. An opportunity that gave LeBron James the small opening he needed.
James for the win. It's good. LeBron James at the buzzer.
While the Bulls completely lost momentum and were ultimately eliminated just 2 games later, Jimmy Butler's bet on himself, after years and years of being discounted, had paid off. A 5-year, $90 million contract extension. However, this is where things started to head in the opposite direction for the Tomball native. Because despite the Bulls All-Star scoring a new career high of 53 points during the 2015-2016 season and receiving an epic nickname during their following campaign,
starts to drive, step back in the air.
Oh, happy step back and kiss myself. Big time plays, big time plays. Jimmy G buckets. The G stands for gets.
a clear issue arose. As after their defeat at the hands of LeBron in 2015, Coach Tibbs was fired and a new leader chosen straight out of college, Fred Hoiberg, was brought in. Not only had this change failed to yield the desired results in the 2015-16 season, but to start their next title run, beef between Butler and Hoiberg began.
Our locker room was bad, bro. Like we know it was right in the beginning of the year too. Like it was like our first 3 games like we lost, and like everybody was pissed off, like upset. Like Jimmy wasn't getting along with Coach Hoiberg. Like so we had a team meeting early. Coach Hoiberg starts it off. He's like, "All right, Jimmy. Obviously this starts with me and you. Like what's going on?" And then Jimmy goes, "Well, 1, I think you're soft. 2, I don't like you." And he didn't even get to 3. And Coach Hoiberg was like, "Well then, you, Jimmy." And Jimmy's like, fuck me now. You wanted to know what I want. You wanted to know how I felt. So that's how the meeting started, bro.
To make things worse, alongside Miami Heat legend Dwayne Wade, who the Bulls had brought in for this season, the pair started publicly criticizing their younger counterparts. Butler would state openly that the ball needed to be in their best players' hands more often, and that the other athletes on their roster cared more about things other than winning, which, for Jimmy Butler, was the only thing that mattered. Therefore, as he walked out of Game 6 of their 2017 first-round playoff series against the Boston Celtics, a loser, a seismic shift in the NBA was set to occur.
We got a big one already, Reese, and Jimmy Butler has been reunited with his former coach Tom Thibodeau in Minnesota.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, a struggling franchise that had been slowly building a legitimate team geared towards ending their 13-year postseason drought, was delighted to add one of the league's best two-way players.
Here, give me the mic. Hey, Nick, how's it feel to be with the new team today?
What's a realistic goal for this group this season?
Well, I think the goal that we should have in mind, whether you think it's realistic or not, is to win a championship. That's why we play. You don't play to make the playoffs.
Do you think it's realistic, though?
It better be.
This year?
It better be. Like, I'm not going to say, our goal is to win X amount of games. No. Every year that I play this game, my goal is to always win a championship. So that has to be our goal right now, tomorrow, the day after that, all the way until the end. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then that'll be our same goal next year.
In fact, Butler would enter the 2017-2018 season with a refreshed mindset, willing to do whatever it took, even if that meant scoring less to achieve his championship dream.
Like, Cat gonna average 25, Wig gonna average 20-something. I'm gonna average like 18. He was like, you gonna get your 14, Ty's gonna get his 12, 13, whatever. He was like, but they're gonna be the main focal point. I'm gonna do all the little things.
Yet, very early into the season, Butler's positive outlook took a turn for the worst, or best, depends how you look at it.
First 2 games of the season, we wasn't looking that good. Jimmy come in the locker room, he was like, this team, I gotta be me. I gotta take over this whole thing. They ain't the ones. Like, they don't got it.
A mindset shift that saw Jimmy Butler begin to do some truly insane things. Whether it was dropping 30 or more points 10 times, being named as an all-star for the 4th straight season, or carrying his Wolves to hold the 4th best record in a tough Western Conference, Butler was ready to begin his championship chase. However, on February 23, 2018, everything took a turn for the worst. With the Wolves' star guard suffering a knee injury that saw him miss the next 17 games, the Timberwolves slipped all the way to the 8th seed as they smashed their long-standing postseason drought. However, without their superstar at 100% health, and facing a Houston Rockets side in the first round of the playoffs built to dominate the Western Conference.
Never forget, we played Minnesota in the first round, right? And it got funny to our team. Our team would be out there on the court, we'd be laughing. Because the other teams would be pissed. They would be pissed because they out there arguing. They're like, man, pass the ball. You ain't doing it. And we laughing like, yeah, because all that stuff y'all done ran 90% of the season, it's not working no more.
There was nothing they could do. James Harden and his Rockets had moved on after just 5 games. But this wasn't the most shocking thing that occurred in 2018. But why would the ex-Marquette star want to leave the Wolves?
It really came from money. They extended Cat before they extended Jimmy.
So, hungry to show Minnesota that they had made a grave error, Jimmy would go on to carry out one of the most insane series of events in NBA history.
Jimmy ain't came to no workout. So workout start in September, we don't see Jimmy. Nobody's talking Jimmy, we haven't seen Jimmy. Jimmy decides to show up. We start training camp. He comes 3 days after training camp start. Tibbs said, we're going to scrimmage. Jimmy hop up. Starters, Jeff, Jimmy, Wig, Taj, Cat. Jimmy said, I ain't playing with them. Jimmy said, I'm playing with them. He picked the Bad News Bears. He like, I'm playing with them. We playing first game. He's like, I got Cat. I was like, oh. So Jimmy and Cat ain't like each other. They jumped the ball. We throw it to Cat first play. Jimmy steal it. Go down, score. They go down, score. Jimmy like, got it here. He trash. Da-da-da-da. Steal the ball again. They go down and score. Jimmy start talking to the GM. Everybody in the gym. Y'all better mother effing pay me. I'm like that. Y'all think that team can win without me? I'm him. Pay me. Pay me.
Then, of course, instead of remaining and continuing to destroy his teammates, Butler rushed home. However, it wasn't to shower or relax, but instead to hop on an ESPN interview with Rachel Nichols. What?
We in the practice facility. We sitting there showered up, people putting ice on. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
And the whole thing is, I just want to be appreciated. That's it.
Okay.
It's not about anything else. Not everybody has to have winning as their number one priority. Everybody, winning is all that we're worried about.
Did you feel that wasn't the case with everyone?
I'm not gonna say no names, but I'm gonna be honest. If your number one priority isn't winning, and people can tell, that's the battle. Now there's a problem between people because that guy's number one priority is winning, and that guy's isn't. Of course they're gonna clash.
Big trade news today. According to reports, Philadelphia is about to acquire 4-time All-Star Jimmy Butler in a deal with Minnesota.
Philadelphia, much like Minnesota, hoped adding a 3rd superstar to their lineup to work alongside star point guard Ben Simmons and MVP candidate big man Joel Embiid would solve their issues. A decision which, after his epic home debut of 28 points and then doing this a couple of weeks later against the Brooklyn Nets,
5 seconds remaining. Butler looks like he's going for the win. Butler heaves and hits with 4/10 of a second remaining.
that seemed to be genius. Or, with Jimmy set to become a free agent at the end of the season, was it really? As after a loss in Oregon against the Portland Trail Blazers, more issues between Butler and his head coach began.
Jimmy Butler has been challenging of Sixers coach Brett Brown about the offense, about how Jimmy Butler fits into the offense and the kind of role he'd like to play in it. And the most recent example we reported on was in a film session in Portland last week where Butler was very vocal in front of the team, and some in the room considered it disrespectful.
And I used to tell bro, I was like, bro, I think we should mix in me handling the ball a little bit. No, we do A to B, we do this.
Yet, Despite their differences in philosophy, Philadelphia was still one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. In truth, all they needed was one more defensive stop and another solid 5 minutes of basketball, and they would be just 4 wins away from the championship round.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
However, this wasn't the only heartbreak Philadelphia fans would receive in 2019.
According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Miami is finalizing a sign-and-trade with Philadelphia to acquire Jimmy Butler.
But why leave a team that was just one unlucky bounce away from potentially moving on to the NBA Finals? Well, it's actually pretty simple. If we go back to the 2016-17 season, the acquisition of Miami Heat legend Dwayne Wade saw the two-time champion tell Butler that the culture of the Heat—
it's the culture that I hear about all the time. You know, the work that you put in every single day, the winning habits, the winning ways. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of that?
Suited his mindset and view of the game perfectly. So once Jimmy, for the first time ever in his career, got a chance to kind of pick where he wanted to go, he went to the Heat.
Tell NBA fans why this trip with Miami, joining the Heat, is going to be a little different after you've played for 4 different teams in the last 4 seasons.
It's going to be different because this is where I'm going to be for hopefully the rest of my career. I think I fit here. The way that they work, the attitude that they go about everything, it's me in a nutshell.
Yet, unlike the previous 2 squads he joined, this one didn't have the same level of all-star talent. So, could they even succeed at the same level of the other 3 franchises Butler had been a part of? December 10th, 2019, with Atlanta Hawks guard Trae Young proclaiming that the game was over after going up 6 with less than a minute remaining, Miami seemed destined to be picking up their 7th loss of the 2019-2020 season. But with undrafted shooting guard Duncan Robinson hitting a massive 3 and then this happening—
Derrick Jones Jr. with a block. And keep in mind, Trae Young was on the bench for that possession. Down by 3. 33 seconds left. Butler for the tie. Yes!
The game was heading into overtime, a period in which the Heat tore the Hawks defense to shreds, dominating them 18-4 in this extra 5 minutes and debunking Young's claims. Yet, while the victory was exciting for Heat fans, it was how it happened that gave them the most hope. Because with Duncan Robinson recording 34 points, power forward Bam Adebayo scoring 30, another undrafted rookie, Kendrick Nunn, adding 36, plus Butler's 20 points, 18 rebounds, and trolling of Trae Young via Instagram proved that despite not having the all-star talent, this Miami Heat squad was legit. As the shortened 2019-2020 regular season ended, Miami found themselves entering the postseason as the 5th seed. But no one, and I mean no one, assumed this lowly Heat team, led by a man who many considered to be a locker room issue, could do anything in the playoffs. Not even sweeping their first round opponent, the Indiana Pacers, changed those opinions, because their next opponent, the Milwaukee Bucks, was the team every analyst and pundit assumed would be making it out of the Eastern Conference, except Stephen A.
I acknowledge it's a long shot, but I just got this funny feeling Miami's going to find a way to win this series.
However, by halftime of Game 1, Jimmy Butler's average 13-point contribution was failing to live up to his Playoff Jimmy nickname. Therefore, as he walked back out onto the Walt Disney court, Butler knew what he had to do.
6 to shoot. Butler sizes uphill and he hits again. He has put Miami on his back.
Jimmy's insane 15-point fourth quarter,
Butler again. He has been magnificent.
which brought his scoring total to 40 points, saw his franchise begin an insane run. Over their next 10 battles, Miami incredibly won 7, punching their ticket by defeating the championship favorites and a rising Boston Celtics side to the NBA Finals. But facing the true title favorites, LeBron James and his Los Angeles Lakers,
in my opinion, they'd be lucky to win a game.
a 24-point and 9-assist average during their first 2 battles simply wasn't enough. if Jimmy, for the first time playing in the championship round, was gonna leave hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy, a dramatic change was needed. Yet, without Bam Adebayo, who Butler helped transform into an all-star for their following battle, could the Heat really do it? Game 3.
We're never giving up. It's not over. You know, we're just down on 2. We got to do something special. We're capable of it. You know, I wouldn't want to be in the trenches with any other guys except for the ones that we have.
Jimmy G Buckets would spark his team that was loaded with overlooked talent from top to bottom with his emphatic opening dunk. But even with Butler turning his game up to a completely different level,
Butler drives and finishes. Jimmy Butler, 17 points, 6 assists, 6 boards.
As the clock was running out, Los Angeles was preparing for an epic comeback run, unless playoff Jimmy could stop it.
Butler says, give me the ball. Butler the drive, the runner, he banks it in. Oh, what a masterpiece from Jimmy Butler.
You had a 40-point triple-double tonight in an NBA Finals game. That is the best game of your career so far. What was your mindset throughout every minute?
Win. I don't care about a triple. I don't care about none of that. I really don't. I want to win. We did that. I'm happy with the outcome.
However, with the Lakers responding in emphatic fashion during their following battle, a victory which placed the Heat in territory only their rival had come back from, was this the end of Miami's improbable championship pursuit? Game 5.
Butler with 7 to shoot. Shoots over Davis and nails it. Jim Crowder tied up, gets it back to Butler. Quick jumper, Jimmy Butler, and he knocks it down as the shot clock expired.
Playoff Jimmy simply refused to head back home a loser. But it wasn't just scoring Butler was dishing out.
Butler inside, beautiful pass to Adebayo, and that's the 10th assist for Jimmy Butler.
Yet once again, as the game was edging closer and closer to its final buzzer, the Lakers refused to give up.
Butler drives. Falling away, got it again! Jimmy Butler puts the Heat back up by 1.
Even with Jimmy Buckets doing his best to put his franchise ahead,
Butler drives, and he's fouled.
Los Angeles, donning their black Mamba jerseys, which they had never lost in, just kept coming. So, once again, the Tomball native had no choice but to place his new team on his back.
Into the hands, of course, to Jimmy Butler. Butler goes to the basket, layup, won't go, but a foul. Butler, clutch free throw after clutch free throw.
Yet, despite holding a single-point lead, the Heat still needed to get one more defensive stop. So, could they do it?
Morris has it, throws it inside and throws it out of bounds. It's over. The Heat take every punch and refuse to surrender. There'll be a
Game 6. Butler, after literally giving everything in their 5th matchup, struggled to contain a motivated LeBron James, his running mate Anthony Davis, and the rest of the LA squad. With Los Angeles overwhelming Miami's misfit roster, Jimmy Butler had failed. However, despite being devastated due to this loss, the Tomball native vowed to avenge his failure. Yet, things weren't all bad. Jimmy had finally found a home, and Miami, in just their first season led by their new superstar, had made it all the way to the finals. Yet, the journey back to the mountaintop was going to be a long and treacherous one. An expedition that began with Miami facing something that no other franchise had ever battled in the history of the NBA before. The shortest offseason ever. Without adequate rest or time to readjust, the Heat were easily swept out of the first round by the eventual 2021 NBA championship winning Milwaukee Bucks. A devastating defeat which only served as fuel for Jimmy Butler. Because during the following 2021-2022 season, not only would Butler be named as an All-Star, but his 21.4 point, 5.9 board, 5.5 assist, and 1.6 steal averages had guided his franchise to hold the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference as they began their climb back to the championship round. But this time, their journey to the top wouldn't be as easy as it once was in 2020. May 8th, 2022. Facing his former franchise for the first time in the playoffs, Jimmy had been truly dominant. In fact, thanks to his incredible skills.
Butler, the fake, masterfully done.
Shown not only in Game 4, but throughout the series, had seen Miami hold a commanding 2-1 lead. To make things even better, playoff Jimmy had clearly shown up during this vital game.
Butler accelerates, fake into spin, puts it down.
And with Butler pouring in 40 points, the Heat were seemingly heading back home up 3-1. However, they didn't. With the Sixers tying the series at 2 wins each, Miami was now just 2 losses away from Jimmy failing to deliver on his promise. Therefore, Jimmy Buckets knew what he had to do. Firstly, during the two franchises' fifth battle, Miami would have 7 players incredibly finish their victory, having scored in double digits. And with Butler scoring 32 points in Game 6, his 4th consecutive closeout game with 30 or more, it was the Heat moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So proud of my guys, of this squad, but we realized that the job's not finished.
Yet, their opponent, the Boston Celtics, who had been developing and rising since their last meeting, were seemingly the favorites.
I'm thinking they can match Miami's defensive intensity, and Miami as a closer has Butler. Boston as a closer has Tatum and Brown. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I think that Boston deserves the edge in the series.
But after playoff Jimmy put in a shocking 41 points in Game 1, a beautiful scoring night that saw Miami grab a 1-0 series lead.
As long as I keep working, I think I can help us win 3 more games in this series and hopefully 4 more after this one when we get that opportunity.
Perhaps all these doubters were wrong. May 27th, 2022, Game 6. Miami, after Jimmy tragically went down with an injury which forced him to sit out of the second half of Game 3 and resulted in horrific performances in both Games 4 and 5.
Last 3 ball games averaged 9 points per game.
With the squad just a single loss away from elimination. However, after receiving a text from the same person who convinced him to sign in Miami, Butler entered this game with a refreshed outlook.
I got a phone call and text message from D. Wade earlier today, and he was telling me that I could do this. You know, knee a little banged up, but nobody cares. Go out there, continue to build your legacy, and it meant the world to me. So I appreciate you, D. Wade.
Butler the drive, gets inside, banks it home. Another 40-point masterpiece from Jimmy Butler.
With playoff Jimmy finally returning to the hardwood, Miami had done the impossible.
Jimmy, how were you able to do what you did tonight? 47, 9, and 8.
My team, they got so much belief in me. The coaches got so much belief in me that they give me that confidence to go out there and play basketball the right way and just hoop, man. I'm very grateful for my guys. I let my team down a couple of games. I wasn't going to do it again. We know what we're capable of. We get to take it back to the crib. And win.
Game 7, down 5 with 50 seconds left. Boston was seemingly the team who was heading to the NBA Finals. Or were they? With Miami pulling out one of the most crucial defensive stops of their whole season, it all came down to this.
And that might do it. Al Horford with the rebound, throws it up in the air, and the Boston Celtics will go to the NBA Finals.
Next year, we will have enough, and we're going to be right back in the same situation, and we're going to get it done.
May 29th, 2023, Game 7. Butler's prophecy, despite entering the postseason as the 8th seed, had been fulfilled, and this time after another stock-standard playoff Jimmy performance.
Butler with a 3, ring it up for Jimmy Butler.
His 3rd made 3 of the evening.
It had come true. Jimmy Buckets was now just 4 wins away from making good on his vows he had made almost 3 years prior. However, despite an epic effort in Game 2 of the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets, in which Butler's 21 points and running mate Gabe Vincent's 23 saw them leave victorious, their opponent was simply too powerful. The combination of their megastar center, Nikola Jokic, elite point guard play from Jamal Murray, and contributions from up and down their roster ultimately saw Denver hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy after just 5 games. While Miami, despite a ragtag roster filled with overlooked and underappreciated talent, had incredibly been to 2 NBA Finals in a 4-year period, it became clear that they desperately needed another star alongside Jimmy. But not much changed in Miami, except Butler's hair for media day, With the Heat once again barely scraping into the postseason, and then Jimmy tragically sustaining an injury during their play-in game, which saw him ruled out for their first-round playoff series loss against the Boston Celtics, things were beginning to trend downhill, because clearly upset and missing out on an opportunity to chase the elusive championship he so desired, Butler said this shortly after being eliminated.
If I was playing, Boston would be at home, New York damn sure would be at home.
A comment that rubbed Miami Heat president Pat Riley the wrong way.
For him to say that, I thought, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? If you're not on the court playing against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut.
Then, to rub salt on the wound, which was Riley and Butler's declining relationship, the Heat refused to extend Jimmy's contract, a very clear sign of exactly how the franchise felt about their chances with Butler at the helm moving forward. So, after publicly requesting a trade in January of 2025,
what do I want to see happen? I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball, and wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon. But
which he was then suspended 7 games for, this happened.
Breaking news out of the Miami Heat. Our Shams Charania reporting that Jimmy Butler is on his way to the Golden State Warriors.
A transaction which many assume turned the Golden State Warriors from a playoff team into a championship contender. A thought that as the Warriors defeated Houston and prepared to face the Anthony Edwards-led Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round,
bring your ass.
That seemed to be true. However, with Golden State superstar Steph Curry tragically suffering a hamstring injury in Game 1, the Warriors, much like his tenure in Miami, simply lacked the star power to match up with the Wolves. As Minnesota exited Game 5, set to move on to the Western Conference Finals, Jimmy was once again devastated. But who really knows what the future holds for Butler? With a healthy Warriors squad and some playoff Jimmy moments, perhaps Jimmy Butler won't be ending his career as just an NBA finalist, but instead an NBA champion, which, let's be honest, he deserves. Also, speaking of players who are hungry for titles, did you know that one of the NBA's former MVPs used to be so lazy in high school that his coach had to motivate him to score with hamburgers? Crazy, right? Well, for James Harden, an NBA MVP, scoring champion, assist champion, and arguably one of the greatest scorers ever to lace them up, that was reality. To learn more about how a player so lazy became so great, and what makes Harden a truly effortless scorer, click the video on your screen right now.